Hello everyone and welcome back to Two Bros Hot Takes, where we watch a movie and then tell you if you should watch a movie. I am your movie watching host, Older Bro.
I'm your other movie watching host, Younger Bro.
And today we finally get back to week 6, the final week of our Summer Movie Blockbuster Marathon, where we finally go and watch Indiana Jones.
Yeah, we're a week late because we needed to catch up on recording last week.
Yeah, we were in bad straits, and we're still not in the best straits, but we're now at a place where we can record this video. So, we are back to talk about the Indiana Jones movie that came out 2 weeks ago, because we couldn't watch it when it first came out, and we couldn't watch it last week either. So, Younger Bro, what is your opinion of this movie?
Okay, so I have now seen every Indiana Jones movie.
And I have seen just this one, I think.
Really? You never saw Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I don't think so. I think I've seen scenes from each of them. So I've seen the scene with the Ark of the Covenant. I've seen the scene with the aliens.
Yeah, that was Crystal Skull.
From Crystal Skull. But I don't think I've ever sat down and watched the whole movie for any of them.
Alright, so obviously there was a lot of references to some of those movies.
As there should be.
But was it a good movie? Yeah, I didn't hate it. Didn't hate any of the actors. Plot was a bit out there, but
it's an Indiana
Jones movie. So they love to take old artifacts and just make a movie out of them. And the artifact in this movie is apparently based on a real thing. But you can't time travel with it.
Well, sure.
So yeah, this was a good movie. Was it better than all the other movies? I don't want to say it was better than all the other movies. Like, I don't think it was better than the first movie. I don't think it was better than Crystal Skull or, well, it might be better than the second movie. The second movie was kind of out there. The second movie was probably the weirdest out of all the Indiana Jones movies. So, I want to say this probably in third place.
I was going to say, how many Indiana Jones movies have there been?
I think this is fifth movie. I don't even remember the fourth movie.
So in other words, Younger Bro is saying that it is middle of the road for Indiana Jones movies.
So
absolutely middle.
I love seeing old Indiana Jones going on an adventure like that.
Yeah.
Scoring points right there.
Yeah. And this was very adventurous. There was adventures to be had.
But yeah, I remember nothing about the fourth movie. Like, I didn't even remember they got married in the fourth movie.
Was that one Crystal Skull, or was that the fourth? That the third one?
Crystal Skull was 3.
Okay. What was the fourth one then?
Can't remember. Like, that's how much I don't remember it. I know I've seen it, but I just don't remember it.
Because I know Raiders, and I know Crystal Skull, but I don't know the second or the fourth one.
The second one, it's like something tomb. For the second movie.
Well, given that I just looked up Indiana Jones and it said 5, I presume this is 5. Oh, Temple of Doom.
Yeah, Temple of Doom is 2.
Oh no, Crystal Skull was 4. Last Crusade is 3.
Last Crusade, right? Sorry, I never remember 3. I remember 4, and I remember 2 and 1, but I never remember 3.
Yeah. Alright, as long as we got our ordering.
I don't even know what 3 was about.
I'd assume the Crusades.
Like, the first movie was the Ark of the Covenant, the second movie was Voodoo Magic, third movie, don't know, and 4 was Crystal Skull. Which, I don't even know if that was based on a real thing.
The third one's the Holy Grail.
Third one's the Holy Grail?
Yeah, third one's the Holy Grail.
Okay. Now I vaguely remember it. But only the Holy Grail scenes.
Some random mystical stone. The Temple of Doom is just a stone.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I don't think I need to explain what the Crystal Skull is about. I think that's quite clear.
But yeah, out of all of them, I would say I would go watch that movie over maybe the third or even the fourth movie.
So you're saying you'd put this one over Crystal?
I would put it over Crystal Skull, and I would put it over Last Crusade.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have as much to fall back on, since again I haven't seen those movies, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. It was a fine movie. I can understand it. This movie very much seems, and it markets itself as the last triumph. It's meant to be like, this is Indiana Jones' climactic ending, and it will not be any more Indiana Jones.
Harrison Ford doesn't want to do anymore.
Harrison Ford, I feel like Harrison Ford wants to retire. He just wants to stop making movies. He's an old man. How old is Harrison Ford at this point?
In his 70s.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna say he doesn't have that much time left. I'm sure he does, but this man very clearly just wants to retire.
But there was a movie idea. I don't know if they're going with it yet. I don't know if they still have plans to do it, but they were going to use Chris Pratt as a prequel movie for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing that.
Oh God, he's even older. He's 81.
Oh, he's older than I thought.
He's 81.
I knew he was I thought he was in his late 70s.
Yeah, well, he was when this started filming. But yeah, so I think he just wants to retire. Now, I will say, I don't know if they're probably going to make more movies. I don't know if it's going to be prequels or sequels without Indiana Jones.
I think it's going to be prequels.
We'll see. But,
and if there is going to be a sequel, I could see it going somewhere, especially with the new girl.
Yeah.
I'd say she's the next Indiana Jones. She's our Laura Croft.
Honestly, I could see that too. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting given what happens in this movie. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything specific you want to talk about before we get to the spoilers section? Because like the music obviously was on point in the sense that it was like it's Indiana Jones.
Movie was fine, scenery was fine, story out there, but it's Indiana Jones. That's fine.
Yeah,
didn't have really any problems.
Yeah, I thought it was a perfectly fine movie. I've heard mixed things about this movie from people just talking about it casually. I haven't seen the other movies, but like it seems like an Indiana Jones movie. Seemed very interesting and fun. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up. So if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, this would be the part where you head out, and we'll see you next time. If not, stick around and we'll go into further details.
All right. So the scene I want to talk about, which is probably my favorite scene in the movie, is a scene that was already in the trailer, but I didn't know the story behind it. Apparently, our girl is an auctioneer, illegal auctioneer, and is trying to sell the dial. Yeah.
She be just a straight up thief.
Yeah, so she steals dial and tries to sell in like Arabia.
I believe it's like. I think it was like Tunisia. It's somewhere in Africa.
Yeah.
Like Northern Africa. Like Morocco, maybe.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. And the bad guys show up, and it escalates to where Indy gets a hold of the dial. Well, half the dial, because it's not whole yet.
Yeah.
So he gets the half of the dial. And then he cracks out his whip and he starts whipping everybody that
Sadly,
is threatening them.
Sadly, they did not play the Indiana Jones like main theme over him whipping his whip there. But in the trailers, they definitely did. But I understand why they didn't in that scene. It didn't make sense to.
But it was such a good scene. Yeah, he cracks out the whip. He's like, "Get back!" And then everybody's packing heat.
Yeah, because of course they are. It's just like he's just like, why would you bring a whip to a gunfight, Indy?
Which is so fucking hilarious, because now the shoe's on the other foot. I believe it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a very famous scene where somebody has a scimitar. The sword that has the name scimitar or whatever.
It's the scimitar. It's the specifically curved blade. But
yeah, the curved blade.
Yeah.
And Indy just cracks out a pistol and shoots the guy.
Yep. As you should. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, idiot.
Like how it's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
That was the best scene in the movie to me.
Yeah, it was good. It was absolutely good. Now, I will the thing I was going to talk about earlier when I was talking about I don't know how they're going to handle her if they're trying to pivot to her being the main character. That's not what the show doesn't really talk about. It specifically is about Indy retiring. He retires in this movie from being an archaeology professor. He very clearly is done. But yeah, with how much they go into this movie about her being like an illegal auctioneer who steals artifacts and then sells them on the black market, it's very clearly it's like I don't know how they're gonna have to do a really big character turn in the next movie for her to be the next Indiana Jones.
I loved Indiana Jones' line to her. He's like, no one reads their father's notes just to sell the thing.
yeah, literally, just like nobody memorizes 7 pages of notebooks if you don't give a shit about this. It's like, that's the thing.
So good.
She shows up saying, "Oh yes, I have a doctorate in archaeology," and I have to wonder how much of that was a lie. Was any of that a lie, or was it just she did all that and then did all this stuff anyway?
She seems very, very intelligent.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I truly believe she does have a PhD or a doctorate and is going for a PhD. Or no, a master's and is going for a PhD. Whatever. She's going for a PhD in archaeology.
Yeah, well, I firmly believe it.
The weird thing is, though, Indiana Jones's definition of archaeology is, oh yes, we're archaeologists, where we go around to these archaeology sites, we bring a gun, we threaten, like, we are constantly threatened by evil bad guys until we find the artifact.
Yeah,
it's like, it's like, I feel like he needs a special title for his variants of archaeology, which is just like,
an adventurous...
It's like,
archaeologist.
I was gonna say,
kind of exists. There is a famous guy that is like that.
But that's not.
I can't remember his name.
But what he does is effectively grave robbing with extra steps. Like it's not he's not quite a grave robber. He does do it for science, and he does care about putting it in a museum.
He wants to put everything in a museum.
But yeah, it's like we'll call it a scientific grave robber. Like, that's the variance of archaeology he has. He doesn't go in and, like... He doesn't do what, what's the guy from... It's not Malcolm. From Jurassic Park. Who's the guy
Alan Grant.
Yeah, Alan Grant. He's not Alan Grant. Alan Grant is an actual archaeologist. He physically goes to a fucking tent, has picks and brooms and brushes, and actually does archaeology.
There is truth in this rock.
Yeah, like, he's actually a fucking archaeologist. Indiana Jones is not a fucking archaeologist. He works as an archaeologist. That's supposed to be his job title. But he goes off and shoots Nazis and steals precious artifacts that are actually holy artifacts half the time. Like, he's not really an archaeologist. He's an adventurer. His field is an adventurer. So, and I feel like that's her, like, her degree might be in actual archaeology, but she is an adventurer.
So here's something interesting, guys. Speaking of holy objects, there is a holy object that appears in this movie, and that is the Holy Lance, which is the spear that penetrated Christ.
Yeah. Now, that was the question I was going to ask. I've not seen any of these movies, except for this one. Was any of that train scene at the beginning in a previous movie, or was that all made for this movie?
That was technically made for this movie, but there was actually a comic book series, a 4-book comic book series of Indiana Jones finding the Holy Lance.
Okay, so it's not completely made up for this movie, but it's based on non-movie other side stuff.
Yes.
So, okay. Because it felt like when I was sitting down, I thought it was from a previous movie. No. I was assuming these were shots from previous movies and that they had just kind of cleaned them up for this movie. Because it felt like that. That's the vibe they were going for. Nope. Was previous scenes.
All of these scenes were new. The only thing that they took was the idea of the Holy Lance.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's a replica in this movie.
Which, means that at some point they're going to have to go for that Holy Lance in a different movie.
Technically, they already went for it, but that was in the books.
Yeah. But not in the movies.
I don't know if they'll ever make a movie of that. That's what I'm saying. So
it's reminding me of Helsing. Just it's the nails that pierced Christ's flesh. They already went for the Ark of the Covenant. I feel like they're not going to go back to the Christian well anytime soon.
But yeah, it is said that the Holy Lance, if you wield it, you almost have godly power in your hands.
God is literally with you. It is literally the same thing as Alexander Anderson. You pierce the nails into your heart, and you literally embody God for seconds. It's just yep, I now as God forgive you of your sins.
Now, I don't know if we ever found the Holy Lance.
No, I think he said that it doesn't have any power. I think he was saying even the original didn't have power.
No.
But the replica definitely did.
What I'm saying is I don't know in real life if we ever found it.
Oh, well, who knows?
But we do have the Dial of Destiny.
I was going to say, it's in the same way that, you'll see this all the time in stores where there'll be, tiny piece of wood from the cross that Jesus died on. Where it's almost certainly none of that is actually the real wood from the cross of Christ. Just because, A, that cross was not big enough to have that many fragments that you could sell in a gift shop for that many years. But also, that's a historical artifact, and if you're carving that shit up to sell in gift shops, fuck you.
That is... to me, that's a sin.
Yeah, that would absolutely be a sin. So it's I'm sure that exists somewhere. But it's probably mostly decayed.
But, anyways, so I like the dial. We fucking time travel with it. I'm no. I thought it was going to plot a course for, some kind of mystical treasure or something like that.
No, it is the mystical treasure.
Fucking time travel.
Yeah, no. That's the interesting thing about this movie. Where this movie is... The weird thing about this movie is it feels like it's real. It's not about... It is and it isn't about the artifact. It feels like it's... Because the villain literally says, no, there's nothing mystical here. It's all pure science. Science took us to the moon, and science can take us to the past. It's all pure science. Of course it works. And that's kind of the situation where it's there's nothing mystical about it, but you're literally time travel. How is this not fucking mystical in some way? And also, the more important thing is, Indiana Jones is talks in this movie about saying, well, I don't really believe in the mystical stuff, but
he's seen some.
But it's he's seen the Ark of the Covenant. He's literally seen it melt Nazis.
Well, he didn't see it; he heard it.
But it's
But I want to talk about that too. So the things that he has seen, he has seen people's heart being taken out just by reaching into their
he's seen. Kalima is not from.
That is Indiana Jones.
That originally is from Indiana Jones. Okay,
yes.
I knew that was in Indiana Jones. I didn't know if that was from Indiana Jones.
That is from Indiana Jones.
Okay, so I know about that.
Yes. So Kalima, he's seen that.
Yeah.
In fact, he was describing it kind of in the movie. He has seen the Ark of the Covenant. He's seen the Holy Grail. He saw somebody getting disintegrated by the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Because, they picked the wrong Grail.
Yeah.
And...
Good for you.
He has seen an interdimensional alien.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that's not necessarily mystical. That could just literally be aliens. It doesn't have to specifically be interdimensional. It could just be normal fucking aliens. So it's that one isn't mystical in and of itself, but Yeah, when you see the Ark of the Covenant literally melt a guy, or at least you hear
Yeah,
it
that's
happen.
God's wrath.
When you literally see the Holy Grail kill someone, it's like, okay, maybe this magic shit isn't completely impossible.
But, which is funny, because in one of his movies, I think it was the Ark movie, the Raiders. It was in Raiders, where he's like, I don't believe in this magic hocus pocus shit.
And you can see he's kind of grown from there, where he's like, I don't believe any of this magic shit in the first movie. And by this one, he's just like, I've seen some shit I can't explain, and I don't think it really matters if I believe in it or not. It happened. It's just like, so he's gotten there. He's not quite, I feel like he isn't allowed to get to the point where he says, I believe in magic, because at that point, the writers are just going to take it and run. They're going to say, oh yeah, we're going to literally have actual magic show up in these movies. And I feel like he isn't allowed to breach that barrier. So, but yeah, it's like, I did like the artifact. One of my coworkers talked about, like, was trying to explain this without, like, actually giving details. And he talked about how it was like, oh yeah, there's sort of more than one item, but there really isn't. It's like, it's just one item that's broken in two pieces. Just explain it. Just explain it that way. But yeah, I thought it was a cool concept. I don't want to give away where they time travel to, and that piece of it, because I will say there is something very strange about this artifact, and it doesn't work the way you think it does, and it doesn't work the way the characters think it does, and they explain how it does work in the movie. Yeah, you kind of just have to experience it, because it is fucking weird.
But yeah, so, yeah, the time traveling scene is great.
It really is. I don't understand how that doesn't cause problems, because they do time travel, and they do stuff while time traveling, and then they go back, and it seems to affect nothing. So it's like, how does the stuff that was left there not affect future?
I only have one problem with this movie, and it's when they time travel.
Yeah.
So it's not the time traveling or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for these villains, especially the blonde hair guy with the mustache, to get their comeuppance. And how they do it is not very satisfactory.
It's not very satisfactory.
They don't... For the main villain, sure. I felt more satisfaction out of him, but the blonde hair guy, I was like, no.
The problem is Ark of the Covenant kind of ruined this scene for every future movie. In Ark of the Covenant, it's literally, they open it and he instantly dies from God's wrath. And how the hell do you top instantly dying from God's wrath?
Well, they instantly died from Holy Grail, and people die just by getting their heart grabbed out of their chest.
Yeah. But it's like, but this movie just doesn't even try. It just says, no, we're just not even going to try to top that. And so it's just so unsatisfying. We're not even sure all those people died. Like, some of those people might still be alive. Well, okay. Still be alive, like, when they were dropped in time. So, they're not still alive in Indiana Jones this time. But yeah.
Like, one of there's only one henchman that really was a satisfactory end. It was when that kid got handcuffed to
the big guy. That was fucking brutal, and nobody talks about it. Nobody... That was the weird thing. So, when this kid gets kidnapped, they go into the cave, and at no point in this entire time does anyone ask where he is. Like, he gets split off with the big guy, and the villains are just like, leave him. But then they get to the room with Indy and the girl, and she specifically has a scene being like, we've gone everywhere together, we're family. And she doesn't ask a thing about, where's the kid? It's just like,
well, they kept getting there ahead of them.
Yeah.
So she must have known she'll see him again.
I guess, but it's just like, I feel like she should have asked that.
She did. She did ask, you sure the kid's going to be alright?
No, I'm saying, why didn't she ask to the villains in order to stall for time at any point, like, where's the kid?
Yeah, they
Like,
actually don't.
They just don't ask that. And it's like, why didn't you ask that?
So what happened was he gets handcuffed to the big guy. The big guy gets on this small bridge in this cave, which is a real cave that you can visit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that bridge is literally from, like, several thousand years ago. It's from BC times.
I'd actually say it's more around Gold Rush times.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think anyone's been in that tomb.
It was
the way it seemed to imply is that nobody had been up there ever. So like that, they have to be implying that Archimedes put it there.
Maybe.
Because it was his dial.
Maybe.
So it's like, I don't know. If it was, I don't understand how nobody would have found like this thing in the cave.
Under this bridge is water, rushing water.
Yeah, it's a river.
Somehow, I can't remember exactly how, the boy manages to use the weight of the thug to get in the water. Yeah,
basically he walks on the bridge, he falls in because he's too big, it breaks the bridge.
So he has the key, so the kid has the key to the handcuff. He already pickpocketed the big thug to get the key off of him.
Yep.
And so they're underwater, they get to this let's call it a manhole, it's basically a fence underwater, a grate.
Kind of weird grate.
Where there was a hole just big enough for him to fit through, but not the thug.
Yeah.
And he handcuffs to the thug to the grate underwater. That is brutal.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal. He's just gonna drown underwater in the most agony possible.
Oh.
And to be fair, this guy is huge. He is literally untouchable otherwise. Because like he just gets punched and it's just like, that's nice. So it's like, holy shit. But
like that was a more satisfactory end than the main villain.
It really was.
Like,
it's just like,
holy shit.
But yeah, it's like the main villain dies in a perfectly, like, he gets shot. He's like perfectly satisfactory. But like the other guys, they are completely unsatisfactory. No. It's like, we don't even know they die. It's like,
I wanted the blonde guy to fall off the plane and him get tortured by the
people.
The people, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like the other people, they just fall out of the... They just do the generic, like, oh, this has a trap door. Pull, everyone falls out, and that's it.
That was so good.
And it's like, it's good, but it's just like, that's so unsatisfactory. All these guys are they're just dying by falling into the water. It's like, and if they die at all, it's like...
Believe it or not, if you hit water from a great height, it is actually worse than
hitting like solid ground.
Solid ground,
It really is. Like that's why you're supposed to aim for trees if you are falling and like free falling from like so many thousand feet, because trees are actually much less dense than the ground
and it will slow you down.
Yeah, so it's like you are more likely to live if you hit a tree than if you hit the ground or water. It's like, what the fuck?
So
yeah.
That's why I think this is a mid-tier movie, because the villains' deaths were not.
Yeah, the problem is that the item is just meant to take you back in time. It's not meant to be a holy instrument. And all the other movies are like, this is some alien tech or a holy relic, so it has like mystical power. And this one, there isn't really mystical powers. It's just pure math. And while that's cool, the whole point of this franchise has always been like, here's these religious artifacts that do actually have power, and that's why people want them.
Yeah, and this one, it's a Greek artifact.
Yeah, it's Greek.
Because Parthenon was in the movie, that's how I figured it was.
Well, it's because
Greek.
Archimedes was Greek.
And I didn't know who Archimedes was, so...
Yeah, he's the guy who figured out how to measure volume by displacing water.
Oh yeah, he did have a fascination with water, didn't he?
Yeah, because the whole thing was that he was tasked with finding the volume of some complicated object.
It was gold.
Yeah, and it was determined that hold on, if I drop this in the water, it displaces the water by a certain amount, and I can use that to measure the volume, and it will be way easier than it would be to try to do a complex formula to measure the volume of this object.
Yeah, I like how I say know very little, but I just watched a review about Archimedes, so I'm starting to remember a little bit.
Yeah.
But apparently, how he died in real life, so he died because... So while they were capturing everybody, He was in his study. He was trying to figure out a complicated math problem.
Yeah.
And he was telling the soldier, hey, don't mess with my circles, referring to his charts and mathematical equations. And they were getting annoyed with him that he was just doing math, and so they killed him just because he was an annoyance.
Makes sense. I mean, mathematicians are pretty annoying. So it's like if given the if a soldier shows up
mathematically,
yeah, it's like if a soldier shows up at your house and it's just like, hold on, I have to collect all my research notes. It's just like, no, fuck this, just shoot him. This is gonna take hours. Just shoot them. But
yeah, now let's talk about Indy's like friends. So there's two friends of Indy's that were okay. There was more than two, but there's two of them I want to talk about. So the returning character, which is the traveling buddy that we see in all the other movies, where apparently
give him hell, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that guy. Where we learn more about him. Apparently, Indiana Jones helped him to get to America and set him up in America, which was awesome.
Yeah, he's got like grandkids there. He's got a pretty nice place.
He's known as the guy with too many kids in the Indiana Jones movie.
He only has like 2 kids in this movie.
But he is shown with almost a full house of kids.
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of Mediterranean in a lot of Mediterranean cultures, this includes like not just Greece and Italy, but even in Africa and like Egypt, having larger families is a lot more common. So that's pretty normal.
But yeah, so Family Man, he makes his return. He's great in the movie.
I'm disappointed that he didn't come along. He stayed in America. Know. It's just like
we never. I don't know if we ever see him come along with Indy. If we do, I have no memory of it because it may have only happened once.
Yeah, it's just like he's always around, but never. He's always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
But anyway, then we meet. This is Antonio Banderas' character, the diver.
Yeah.
He was totally new character.
Yeah.
Never seen him before.
Yeah.
And, like, did you know that was Antonio Banderas?
I didn't really know that it was Antonio Banderas. I'm not as familiar with him and his face.
I immediately knew it was him because of his face and the way he talks.
Yeah.
Because he's just Puss in Boots.
Yeah. It's like he sounded somewhat familiar, but I didn't know who it was.
Yeah, it was Puss in Boots. Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, his character dies, and I was like, oh my god, I just got introduced to his character, and I'm already heartbroken that he's gone because he
killed Puss in Boots!
He was amazing. I loved his story. Like, he was an expert diver, and we see that, and I like how Indiana Jones, when he was about to get in the water, he saw the eels. There was a lot of eels, which is a callback to him not liking things that slither, mainly snakes.
Yeah.
So he was hesitant to get in the water.
It's fine. Yeah. They're usually very small, sometimes large. It's fine. Just get in one.
It's so funny because he gets engulfed by eels later. Like,
yeah, it's so good.
Oh man.
But yeah,
like I don't know many eels that corral like that in the ocean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mainly, I see that in like river eels.
Yeah,
like electric eels, or there's also the common freshwater eel.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure.
Those do it, but ocean eels?
I don't know, maybe. No clue.
I'm not sure about moray eels. They're usually lone predators.
Yeah, they're lone.
But I don't know about many other eels other than the moray eel.
Yeah.
So I can't speak for all eels. But to me, they acted more like freshwater eels than oceanic eels.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was your marine biology report with the
Two Bros Game Night Science.
But let me think here. Yeah, like him being a professor, I always thought he just used like being a professor as an excuse, and he was like,
yeah, I think that's his goal, is that he's always been a professor so that he can be in the places where the artifacts are to be an adventurer and to safeguard them by being a professor.
Yeah,
so it's like he puts them in like the Oxford like research labs, or in the British Museum or whatever, just so that they are not available for other people.
Oh, by the way, so let's talk about the parade that's in this movie.
Yes.
So that parade was actually a legit parade that happened for Apollo 11.
Yeah, that was a real Apollo 11, which very much dates this movie. It's like you can very clearly tell how old Indiana Jones, like when he's supposed to take place in, and how old he is.
Yeah, I think that was around 1960.
I don't remember.
Somewhere in there.
But yeah, so
between 1940 and 1960, around there.
Well, it has to have been after 1940, because we were still in World War II at 1940.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So
that's why I said 1940.
So
the reason I thought it was 1960s was because of the type of cars that I saw in the movies. Like, as soon as I saw those cars, I'm like, those look like cars that are from the 60s.
Yeah.
100%. But anyway, that's the electrical part of me talking.
Two bros electrician. 1969.
1969.
That was Apollo 11. So, yep.
Oh, probably the other scene probably the only scene I was actually surprised was the villain's main goal.
The villain's main goal is so fucking weird.
I know, that's
I understood what he wanted, but then when they get to the actual reveal of how he plans to fix it, because like there is no hidden. I think the trailer specifically say that that's what this movie's about?
No.
Because I swore I remember going into this movie already knowing that what he was after.
Nope. No.
But yeah, so it's like they specifically talk about like they go into like that he is a Nazi, because all these is every single movie the Nazis except for like Crystal Skull maybe.
The only movie that was not Nazis was actually, I think, 2 and 4.
Yeah, so it's like most of these movies are about the Nazis, so it's not a surprise that this guy's a Nazi.
No.
So
it was the surprise.
Yeah, and it's not even a surprise. It's like, oh, I'm getting a time travel device as a Nazi. It's very obvious what he wants to do. That's not surprising. But what is surprising is how he plans to solve it. Where it's like, what?
Yeah, so his main goal is to kill Hitler.
Yeah, his main goal is just like, yeah, I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to shoot Hitler. I'm going to replace Hitler and then solve all the problems. It's like, what? What the fuck do you mean?
What do you mean solve problems?
Yeah, because he specifically says, like, I have a list of everything that Hitler ever did wrong, and I will correct them all. And it's like, and Indy even has the response of, what kind of Nazi are you that you want to kill Hitler? It's like, what?
That was so good.
What? I cannot even fathom what the fuck. It doesn't even make sense.
Kill Hitler.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just have to go back to Hellsing Abridged. Of the Major is like even specific. He is a Nazi, and he's specifically like and they specifically have the scene where it's like, you know, they're slaughtering all our men. Oh, who gives a shit? They're Nazis. So that's like even the Major in Hellsing Abridged is just like, who gives a shit? They're Nazis. I don't care about them. They're the worst scum imaginable. So it's like, even the guy in this movie is just like, oh, fuck it. The Fuhrer fucked up. He was insane. I'm going to kill him and do his job better than him. Just like...
Like, what does he mean? Like, was he not going to do the horror shit?
The date that they specifically gave was was weeks before Hitler invaded Poland. So he literally was going to kill the Fuhrer, prevent him from invading Poland, or do the exact same history, but where he doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, maybe.
So either way, I don't know. But
so yeah, that was to me probably the most surprising thing in the movie. Like just his thinking of how he's going to kill Hitler and like make
I can't remember
replace him.
What the hell
something.
it was from. It wasn't from this movie, right? There was somebody who did like a joke. I think it was in this movie. There was somebody who said a joke of like, you should stay out of this, and then they respond back with, you should have stayed out of Poland. It's like, I can't remember if that was in this movie or a trailer for a different movie, but somebody made that joke of just like, the Nazis just should have stayed out of Poland.
Yeah, I don't recall.
I can't remember. I need to look that up. But yeah, I will say there is one problem I did have with this movie, and that is I didn't have any problem with the villain's plot. I didn't have any problem with the girl's plot. All those make perfect sense in some way. What I didn't understand was Indiana Jones's plot, in the sense that he's here to get back the dial. That's his plot. But the way the movie words it, they make it sound like... Because they start this movie off by the Nazis come in and they kill some people in his office trying to find the dial. And then Indy makes a comment partway through the movie where he's specifically like, in order to clear my name, I have to get the dial back. He's like, how the fuck is that going to help you? They think you murdered the people in your office. How is you having the dial going to resolve that?
Did they even resolve that?
I don't know.
I don't think
they never
did.
talk about it again. So it's like, why the fuck did you even need to have them show up and kill people and make that like?
Okay,
like,
yeah,
I get why they killed people. It makes sense in the moment. They killed the people because they discovered the Nazis trying to steal some stuff from the building. But I don't understand, why did they even have the pinning it on Indiana Jones portion of that plot?
Yeah,
because
like,
it
guys,
never comes up again.
It does not come up again.
Yeah, the only times it comes up is when they specifically say it there, when they specifically say it on the news later, and then the guy who says, "You're him," gets punched out, and then at the end, where he's going to meet the girl again at this auction, and the friend character says, like, if you run, they're going to assume you're guilty. And that's it. They never bring it up ever again. It's like, so what the fuck was the point in having it?
Speaking of punches, every Harrison Ford punch, including the ones where he was making his enemies think he was weak, were amazing. The best punch in the movie was when he uses his hat to
that one
cover
was
the
really
face
good.
and just decks him. I'm like, oh, damn! And he knocks him the fuck out. Like, God, that was the best punch I have ever seen in any movie, because I felt like it was legit. Like, just Harrison Ford just dumbfounds his enemies in his Indiana Jones movies, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, cause he just proves how smart I
just don't. It's like, how did that guy not know what was coming? How did he not know? Like, you put the hat over my face. How did you not know he's about to punch you?
How did he not instantly react to that? Like,
yeah.
God. Oh, by the way, did you know the girl in this movie was the voice of the droid in Solo?
Which voice? Like the girl?
The robot.
No. I know which robot you're talking about in Solo. The main girl?
The main girl.
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah, I just found that out too. So, that's probably why she was one of the best characters. Because she was one of the best characters in another movie. Like, Harrison Ford wasn't even in Solo, and she finally played on, like, the voice of that robot finally did play in the movie with Harrison Ford in it. Anyway, so we get to the end of the movie, and the end of the movie, he has proof. He has a spear that pierced the plane when they were in the middle of the battle that Archimedes was in when he got killed off. So he has one of the spears that was thrown at the plane, and he has the dial. And he has now been shot 10 times because he wakes up in his apartment after getting shot and after wanting to stay in the past. Like, he gets shot and he's like, I want to stay in the past.
Yeah, and everyone's... And there's like, I know, and that's why I have to do this. Punch.
And then he gets decked.
Just like, yeah, of course.
You would have destroyed history. It's like, yeah.
Yes, he would have. That's the problem. It's Indiana Jones. Of course he would have.
So they're back at his apartment, and they talked about his wife throughout this whole movie. He is divorced in this movie because his son died overseas, and they both grieved differently. Harrison Ford described her grief as a madness, so I didn't expect to see her. She shows up, and it is from... She is the same actor from those years ago where Harrison Ford got married in one of his movies. That can't remember if it's the third or fourth. I think it's the fourth movie. So she shows back up, and they have a little bit of time to herself. And one of the scenes is Indy reaching for his hat that is hanging out to dry. I like how one of the reviewers I watched for this movie, he said, Indiana Jones always reaching for his hat through a doorway.
As he must.
Because of, I've already forgotten the second movie's name again. Something Tomb.
No, it was in this movie.
What?
They specifically had... There was an exchange. At some point... I think this is where... Yeah, this was when they were in... This is when they were in the scene. They were at the table getting rid of the item. They were trying to sell the item. And the guy comes in and says, you should have stayed in New York. And Indy says, you should have stayed out of Poland.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, I was like, I knew that was in... The reason I knew it was in this movie was I found a plot synopsis. But I typed that in quotes. And the only thing that appears is a plot synopsis for this movie. So it's like, it is in this movie. So
wow, that is
it is such a great joke.
Should have stayed out of fucking Poland.
Yeah.
I like how main girl gets chased by mobsters, which we do see in this movie. And
yep,
they had some
Italian mobsters.
Yeah, they had some
You have yeah,
they have done the dirty.
You have done dirty. You have done dirty. And you have done dirty on the day of my daughter's wedding. Sorry, you've done dirty on the day of my son's wedding.
Off with your head.
Your son isn't getting married. He's supposed to be. To you, today. You have done dirty by not being here.
That was the son. The son was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like...
He makes a remark saying, my dad told me to bring you back with only your head.
Yeah.
I must have your head.
Yeah.
Off with her head.
You have betrayed my family for not marrying into my family.
I love how he's always constantly like yelling her name.
Because he's deranged. All he can think of is, I want you, and because I can't have you, I must kill you. If I can't have you, no one will.
That was so good. Like, it's so funny. It's like, it's very cartoony, like action, which was great.
So yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about in this movie. There's no end credit scene in this movie.
Yeah, I like how the movie starts on with apparently Indy being a spy. Shocker.
Yeah,
for America, and
well, the thing was,
they get
the sounds
to the train.
From the sounds of it, I don't think he was being a spy.
No, he was just saving history, as his partner puts it.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, they were trying to get the spear, and then the Nazis stole it, and so they're trying to recover the spear. They don't give a shit about the war. I mean, I'm sure they give a shit about the war, but like, they're not here for the war. They're here for that one artifact that you're going to steal and fuck up.
Yeah, and then they accidentally find another artist.
Yeah, and it turns out the artifact they're there for was fake, and there's a different artifact that's actually more
Yeah,
important.
and like I said, the fake one was the Holy Lance.
Yeah, which is
So,
sad.
Will we see a Holy Lance movie? No, but we do have a book series for it. So if you want to go read that, go ahead. Tell us about it, because I know nothing about it. In fact, I just found out about it.
But yeah, I guess the only thing I do have to say is, given this movie, I really don't know if they're going to continue this franchise, and if they do, where they're going to go with it. I could easily see them making the girl the next Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
but I could also see them saying no.
If they continue, yeah, I believe it would be the next girl being the next Indiana Jones. And if they do a prequel, it's probably going to be with that Chris Pratt idea, and he's going to... Yeah, that would be something. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I mean... But yeah. Either way, guys, this was a fun movie. It was very enjoyable. I mean, it's as enjoyable as it is to see people beat the shit out of Nazis.
Yeah, it was not a bad movie.
No, it was absolutely not a bad movie. I greatly enjoyed it. Now, here's the thing, guys. We are not reviewers. We have said many times we are not reviewers. And the reason we're not reviewers is because we don't look for the same things reviewers do. We almost always say movies are good even when they're not good. So, there's a reason. We said Morbius was an okay movie, and Morbius is the test for if it's worse than Morbius, it's a bad movie. So
it's still, like, Morbius is so far is still one of the movies.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just boring. It was fine. Like, it was.
Yeah, we'll see if our minds change when we see Craven.
We will see.
Yeah, because apparently not my coworkers did not enjoy that trailer because they said it looks so bad.
Yeah,
because for whatever reason he has lion like capabilities or something, like he was bitten by a radioactive lion.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to go. To me, it looked cool, but to my coworkers, I can't even talk about it with them. So
yeah. So
all right.
Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for this hot take. We will come back at a later point in time that is not next week, because there are no new movies that we want to watch next week.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a little bit before we review the next movie.
Month or two. Definitely a month or two. So we'll come back whenever we come back next with the next movie. Until then, we will see you all on the next hot take.
Goodbye.